So welcome to another episode of my vlogging here. So today we're going to be discussing ergonomics of the CB650R. So I've had a request from one of my subscribers on, how does the bike feel? How does it fit? Like, how big are you when you ride it and all that stuff. So a little bit about myself. So I'm 5'11", or like 180 some odd centimeters tall. I weigh about 200 pounds. I am definitely not in shape whatsoever. When I sit on this bike, I do feel in some areas a little bit crammed, mostly in the legs, but let me explain why, and I'll show you what I've done to remediate those issues. The first thing that I want to discuss today is about the seat. So, looking at the seat, it is a standard Honda seat. There's nothing really too different about it. So it's got a slight curve and it's very, very flat on one end. And then you have the passenger seat where it has this little bump. So when you're sitting on the seat, you sit with your butt against this, right? You don't put it forward. And then with that, your butt there, your legs coming off, the seat is a little bit wide, and but it is comfortable to an extent. Now there is not too much padding in this seat. It does squish down some, but it's not a lot. Of course, there's more padding in this area here, as you can see, but in the back here, not so much. Now I'm sitting on the seat. As you can see, my butt is right against the passenger seat, right here. I don't really have too much gap between my crotch and the tank, right? Just maybe 3 inches or about 9 centimeters. My knees are resting right against the tank in a pretty comfortable position. So if you look at the tank, where the tank grips, you'll see that my knees are flush up against it. So if I pull it away and put it against, you can see that my leg is right up against the tank. And it's on the lower part of the tank. Of course, as you go through turns, your legs might shift a little bit and they might move up a little. And there's plenty of room to grow. When you're talking about foot peg position, the foot peg position, as you can see here, this is my resting position of my foot. And this is the normal position when I ride, right? I am not riding with my heel on the peg and my foot on the brake. That's not very smart because you'll just wear out your rear brake because there's no way you're going to hold your foot up the entire time. So, the ball of the foot is on the peg, and it's just relaxing, just hovering there. Now, the angle of your legs is quite sharp. That's why it's very important for you to put your butt as far back on the seat as you can. Otherwise, if you move more forward, this angle here gets a lot shorter, which becomes very uncomfortable very fast. If you ever put anything on your rear seat, like like one of those mesh bungees that I have, and stuff like that, and it pushes you up a little bit closer to the tank, you're gonna be a lot more uncomfortable more quickly. The next thing is going to be the handlebar position. As you can see here, I'm sitting upright on the bike right now. If I reach out to the handlebars, I could just barely touch them with my fingers, just barely. Obviously, you cannot sit straight up. You're gonna have to lean forward a little bit. So as you can see here, when I'm leaned forward, I have a slight angle to my back. It's not perfectly straight anymore. I am not necessarily leaning on the handlebar. I'm just leaning forward enough just to touch them. When you squeeze your legs on the tank here, you have enough strength here to hold your whole upper body in the right position the entire time as you ride. So I'm leaning forward like so, and I could easily just remove my arms, and I'm not falling forward, right? It's just enough of an angle to get you in a little bit forward lean. I am a person with a very bad back, and that being said, I can go for a walk, and within like a few blocks, my back is hurting so badly that I can't walk anymore. So, but when I ride the bike here, I have not had any back pain whatsoever. So for all of you with lower back pain, fear not, this bike is safe. Another thing that I want to bring up is the seat comfort. Now that I'm sitting on the seat, again, this goes back to your legs being in shape. I always feel my legs hurting before the seat starts hurting. So everything regarding the seat is okay for about an hour and a half. By then, you have to get off the bike and stretch your legs and whatnot because of this very sharp angle that you see here. One thing that I learned when I first got the bike is I was wearing normal shoes. What I found is that after riding with the those shoes, when I got off the bikes, my knee was hurting, and I couldn't figure out why. Until one day I went and I got a pair of boots, not to fix my knee problem, but for another reason. I got a pair of riding boots, and after the first ride in these boots, I got off the bike, and it's the first time my knees did not hurt. It's very important for you to be using riding boots when you are riding this kind of a motorcycle. It gives you proper support in the ankle and holds your leg in a position where you're not putting too much strain on your knees. Now that I've talked about the riding position, now let me show you how I look when the bike is actually in motion. Now, as you can see, that the bike position is pretty good, and the bike is pretty nimble. Okay, so now I stopped showing the other side of the bike. So I'm going to put the bike into neutral and throw down the kickstand. Okay, so now you're seeing the bike from the opposite side. So now you see the clutch side. So on this side here, still same riding position. And as you can see, I'm not touching the lever for the gear shifter, and my foot is still in a nice tight angle, and I also have my leg up against the tank. So trying to reach the lever is pretty easy, straightforward. It's right here, right? Lots of room between, and also from the top, very easy to hit. Okay, so and again, it takes a little practice wearing the riding boots, as they are a little bit stiffer than if you were to wear, like, say, a running shoe. A running shoe is, your ankle's very flexible, but this one here is a little bit stiffer, so it takes a little bit of practice using it. I sometimes find myself not releasing my ankle down all the way between shifts. And so what ends up happening is I'll shift up and bring it only part way down. And then when I try to shift again, there's not enough throw for it to go into the next gear because I never dropped my foot down low enough. So that's something that started happening when I started wearing these boots. But it's something that's easily correctable because honestly, all you gotta do is just put your foot all the way down and then shift up. Other factors about the ergonomics is the mirrors. So The mirrors on most bikes are pretty much useless, no matter how you angle them or whatnot. I'm a pretty wide guy, and I just barely have enough view in either mirror to see kind of my sides, right? Um, Again, when you are riding the bike, you are literally seeing half the mirror as your elbow. This is my point of view. So when I'm riding, as you can see, half the mirror is my elbow, and you can see that I have a pretty decent view on this mirror, despite having half of it being blocked. On the other side, I have the same issue. So half the mirror. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the clutch lever and brake lever positions. So my hand, when you look at a glove size, is an extra large. So that being said, when I reach out and I grab the clutch, I am actually grabbing on the just between the two joints of the finger. No problem. The clutch is about a medium strength, so it's not hard and it's not soft. I have ridden bikes that have a much softer clutch than this, but it's not too bad. The position of the turn signals is different than most other bikes. So Honda puts it on the bottom, everybody else puts it where the horn is, as you see here. And then of course you have your high beam, low beam, and then you have your flash for passing, and then you have your hazards as well on this wrist. And everything is easily accessible with your thumb. And then right up here you have your traction control switch, right? So on off. There's just two modes of traction control. So there's like you click it 3 times to turn it off. But when you start the bike, it's always traction control is always on. So the brake lever, again, you can now see my finger position. It's like right between the two knuckles, and I'm able to easily squeeze the brake lever. And then of course you have your start button, and then you have your kill switch. And then there's nothing special else on this side. Down here you have your keys, and you have your off on position, and then you push it in to turn to the lock position, so that will lock your steering, so that it's kind of like an anti-theft for your bike. A lot of the bikes will have the actual lock on the side, but it's actually built into the ignition on this bike. On the trunk side, you turn your key and you lift slightly, and then to open it, you use your other hand, you push down and slide out, and it opens up. If you just try pulling it off, it won't come off because they have these little hooks here, and unless you push down, it won't release. The trunk, as you can see here, is I have my insurance and I have my bungee cord, and that's pretty much all I can fit in the trunk. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I've given you a walkthrough about the ergonomics of the CB650R. If you have any questions, please post in the comments, and if you have any ideas of other future videos you'd like to see, just let me know, and I'll be happy to create the content for you. So please like this video and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next video.